Good evening and welcome to Tiger Tally. I'm Meredith Brito. A lot has happened in the sporting world while you were away, but we will get you caught up on all of that in the next few minutes. The biggest news in the Auburn football offseason, Rhett Lashlee took a new offensive coordinator job at UConn, and Auburn has hired Arizona State offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey as Lashlee's replacement. Gus Malzahn still plans on passing on the play calling to Lindsey.
I really started out with three things. I just felt like I need to find somebody that could develop and evaluate quarterbacks. Felt like I needed somebody that I would feel comfortable turning the offense over to. I felt like I needed somebody that had a fit within the same philosophy, no huddle, run, play, action. So that's really where I started. Chip's going to call the plays. This is going to be Chip's offense, and it's going to be his responsibility. I've got a lot of trust in him, like I said, and he's going to do a great job.
You know, everybody's got their own spin on offense. You know, we all have our own personality that comes out when you design an offense. But the bottom line, it's never changed. The most important thing is find ways to get the ball to your best players. It's really that simple, and that'll be our goal every day, and looking forward to getting started.
To get a new look on the upcoming team, fans can attend Auburn's scrimmage game, which will be held April 9th at 3 p.m. Auburn basketball is on a roll. This past week, the Tigers picked up 2 straight SEC wins.
The Auburn Tigers tipped off against Alabama for the Iron Bowl of basketball and the Outlive game. D'Angelo Purifoy made his return to the game, playing for 29 minutes and scoring 5 points. In the first half, the defense struggled at rebounding and turnovers.
Alabama come in, won 6 out of the last 7, plus 10 rebound margin. One of the best defensive teams, and certainly in our league. And you could tell early we were young and we weren't very sure of ourselves in the early going, but we hung in there.
Auburn headed into halftime tied at 30 with Alabama. The second half would be a much different story. Auburn began to pick up more rebounds and several players emerged to take over the game. Mustafa Heron scored 15 total points.
But Mustafa clearly got that takeover mode, and the fact that he didn't play as effectively and certainly didn't have a presence in the first half didn't affect his mindset, knowing that he's capable of taking a game over.
Ronnie Johnson scored 17 points after having a big game against LSU earlier in the week.
Ronnie Johnson, again, played great for us and was able to go by and able to finish. It doesn't have a turnover. And so we've got 2 really strong point guards that are leading the team.
It was an important day for the Auburn Tigers, with it being the Outlive game and the Iron Bowl of basketball. But the biggest story coming out of the game was Austin Wiley, who had 19 points and 9 rebounds to help get the Auburn Tigers that 20-point victory. Wiley also took 18 free throw attempts in the game, scoring 11 points off of them.
I grew up in a rivalry, and it was a hype game, really hype coming into it. Just wanted to continue the legacy and just be Alabama. So yeah, we played a great game today.
84-64 the final score, Auburn over Alabama. Auburn picks up its 3rd SEC win and improves to 13-6 for the season. In Auburn, Casey Cooper, Eagle Eye Sports.
Auburn will be on the road this upcoming week, facing a tough South Carolina team that is 2nd in the SEC rankings. That game will be on Tuesday. The team will then go against TCU on Saturday. The Tigers' next home game will be January 31st, when they'll have an SEC matchup with Bruce Pearl's former team, the Tennessee Volunteers. The women's basketball team is keeping up a winning record. Right now, they are sitting at 14-6 so far this season and a 4-2 record in the SEC. However, they did lose a close match against Kentucky over the weekend. They lost 64-60. They look to bounce back this upcoming Thursday when they travel to take on Missouri. Tennis is back in swing. The men's tennis team had its first match of the season against UCF, winning 4-3. Next match will be Friday against Georgia State, followed by Wake Forest the next day. Both matches will be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The women's team also opened up its season in a big fashion. They won all 3 games over the weekend, giving them a 3-0 record to begin the new season. On Friday, the equestrian team visited Alabama, taking home a 9-3 victory. The team is 4-2 so far this season. Next match is February 11th against the Georgia Bulldogs. The women's gymnastics team is also back in action. However, they're off to a not-so-hot start. In the first 3 matchups, they have fallen in a close score to their opponent. The team looks to snag their first win of the victory of the season when they visit the Florida Gators on Friday. Coming up next, the latest in national sports. You're watching Tiger Tally on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. The Super Bowl is all set. Over the weekend, the NFL had its conference championships. The Atlanta Falcons defeated the Green Bay Packers 44-21 for the NFC Championship. That game was also the last game ever in the Georgia Dome. The Falcons will be making their second Super Bowl appearance. The first was back in 1998 when they met the Denver Broncos. They lost in that game, so they are looking for their first Lombardi Trophy on February 5th when they take on their opponents, the New England Patriots. The Patriots knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers to take home the AFC Championship. Fun fact, the Patriots have been to the Super Bowl 9 times. 7 of those times have been with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. It will be a fun game for sure, and it will all be happening in Houston, Texas on February 5th. A lot happening in the NBA, including the announcement of the 2017 All-Star Weekend starters. For the East, DeMar DeRozan, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jimmy Butler will be the starting 5. And for the West, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, and James Harden getting the starting job. What some might consider the biggest snub, Russell Westbrook, he did not get a starting position in the All-Star game. Westbrook leads the NBA in scoring, averaging 30.6 points per game, and leads the league in triple-doubles with 21 so far this season. Fans can catch all of those players and more in action February 17th through the 19th. A quick update in the NHL. The Chicago Blackhawks are on a 3-game winning streak after defeating the Canucks, and the Senators' 3-game winning streak has come to an end after losing to the Blue Jackets. In the current standings, Washington is the #1 team in the East, while Minnesota is the #1 team of the West. Tragic news out of the MLB. Kansas City Royals pitcher Giordano Ventura was killed in a car accident in the Dominican Republic over the weekend. The Royals organization released the following statement Sunday morning when the news first broke of the accident. Quote, "The Kansas City Royals regretfully announced the passing of Giordano Ventura, who perished in a car accident last night in the Dominican Republic. There are no details available at this time regarding the accident that claimed the life of the 25-year-old Ventura." End quote. The Royals' Senior Vice President of Baseball Operations and General Manager Dayton Moore also released a statement saying, quote, "Our prayers right now are with Giordano's family as we mourn this young man's passing. He was so young and so talented, full of youthful exuberance, and also brought a smile to everyone he interacted with. He will get through this as an organization, and we continue to mourn Giordano," end quote. Ventura made his MLB debut with the Royals in 2013 and was part of the World Series winning team in 2015. Ventura was 25 years old.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis.
45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. And our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
It's been several weeks since our last show, and we have a lot to talk about. I'm here with Jared Dillard to get you caught up on what you missed while you were gone. First off, Auburn's bowl game. Auburn faced Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl and lost 35-19. Many Tiger fans are not happy with the performance. What did you see that hurt Auburn the most and cost them from taking home the victory?
Well, to be honest, it's what hurt us all year. Quarterback play. I mean, you saw it. When quarterback play was on, it was on. We were good. Especially against ULM, especially what we did against Mississippi State on the road. I mean, we looked good. But then you got to Vanderbilt first. And Vanderbilt was, for a second, we didn't know what was going on. Then we got to that unspeakable Georgia game where we did not get a first down at all in the second half. Like, that's just bad. And then it got a little bit better with Alabama. And then
not much.
That first drive for Oklahoma, it was like we got something, and then it just fell flat.
Yeah.
And I think it really goes to show how much quarterback play brings a team together, because it's not like Auburn had a bad defense. They didn't. They had a really good defense. It's not like the running game wasn't there for Auburn. It was. But having a quarterback, having a passing threat, it changes everything. You saw when John Franklin came in, or when Jeremy Johnson came in, the playbook was thrown out the window, and they brought in some dusted off playbook for the other quarterbacks to run, and that just changed everything for Auburn. So I think that they will be better next year because Jarrett Stidham coming in and because what he brings to the table. And if we get consistent quarterback play, Auburn will be a very good team in the SEC.
I couldn't agree more. It has to be the quarterback play, which I think, like you mentioned, Jarrett Stidham's going to bring more consistency to our offense. Because, I mean, Sean White dealt with so many injuries this season. And for our team to go in there and just have Jeremy Johnson or John Franklin III come into the huddle, I mean, could you have more of a change with those three guys? Like you mentioned, throwing the playbook out the window. Like, the play between those three quarterbacks could not be more different. And you know, it's so hard to know what to expect, especially going into that second half of the game against Oklahoma. You know, Jeremy Johnson, John Franklin kept switching back for a little bit. You had no idea what to expect. They just play so differently. So I think Jarrett Stidham's going to be healthier, hopefully. And when we have Sean White come in, if anything were to happen, it's going to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more similar than it was this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't have three more different guys.
Yeah, just having – because you saw when John Franklin came into the game, it turned into just straight-up read option. That was it.
Yeah.
You saw when Jeremy Johnson came into the game, it was a lot of shotgun dropping back to pass. When Sean White came into the game, it was a lot of ground and pound and the play action to throw the defense off. Those are three different ways to run an offense. And to throw not only your quarterbacks through loops like that, but your offensive line, your not defensive backs, your halfbacks, your wide receivers. I mean, it's just too much moving pieces when you're rotating in three quarterbacks. You just can't do that.
And also, I think when your offense isn't clicking the way it's supposed to, I mean, your defense is out on the field for so many minutes. Like in that game, I felt so bad for our defense. We kept having 3 and outs. Like we would have maybe one consistent drive and followed by more 3 and outs. So our defense kept having to go back on the field, and you know that makes the defense tired. So by that point, I wasn't surprised that we gave up 35 points against that offense.
No, especially when the defense out there as long as they were. I mean, defenses can be great, but eventually, I mean, you could just keep throwing a rock. If you keep throwing a rock at like a very thick piece of glass, it's eventually going to break.
Exactly.
And the defense just eventually broke, and they weren't able to stop them anymore. And that's just the name of the game. That just shows you how important offense is. Just getting first downs to give your defense a rest on the sidelines is very big for Auburn. And for any team, really, but for Auburn in general, because the Georgia game almost in a way showed that, where we didn't get a first down, and the defense started giving way to the point where Georgia was able to sustain drives to run out the clock in the second half, and we would just go out there, and it just wasn't clicking right then and right there.
Exactly. Do you think Rhett Lashley leaving and hiring Chip Lindsey as the new offensive coordinator is going to help them become better this next season?
Well, I guess really depends on how you look at it. So Rhett Lashley leaves. It was kind of a shocker because, like, you know, the new coaches came in, they got their guys, and then all of a sudden Rhett Lashley was like, all right, guys, I'm gone. I'm going to UConn. Which, good for him.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what Rhett Lashley does at UConn, because you look at UConn's stats. They were near the bottom. I'm talking about 124 out of 126 in the NCAA when it came to offensive output. And they were just the worst offense in all of college football.
So if he can turn that around, what does that mean for Rhett Lashley?
If Rhett Lashley turns that around, Rhett Lashley has a head coaching position somewhere, a small school. And, that's every coach's dream.
Exactly.
Get a head coaching position. So for Rhett Lashley, he kind of had to get out from under Gus Malzahn, and this was the way to do it.
For sure.
Now, as far as Chip Lindsey goes, see, as we were looking at people to bring in, trying to fill that void, I was kind of thinking there's no actual person that Gus Malzahn's not going to go out and get a random stranger to come run his offense because Auburn's offense is unique. So I said they were either going to promote from within, or they would have to find somebody that was such a niche in that offense. And they technically, in a way, kind of did hire from within, but not really, because Chip Lindsey was with the team in 2013. I mean, it's not like he's never been to Auburn.
Exactly.
He's been under this system before. And there was no way Gus Malzahn was going to bring in somebody who'd never run an offense like this. He was going to bring in somebody that he knew. That's just how Gus Malzahn works.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say that Chip Lindsey actually coached at my high school. And when he coached at Lassiter High School had like the best offense in the state. We had Hudson Mason and Philip Blutzenkirchen was there. We ended up on ESPN highlight reels all the time. So I think that hiring Chip Lindsey is kind of like a familiar face for me. I think he's going to have great success going into this. I liked what Rhett Lashley did after taking over the play calls for Gus Malzahn. And I think this is also kind of saying that Gus Malzahn's comfortable handing over his offense yet again. And from what I've heard and what I've read in articles, Chip Lindsey seems to be really good at developing young talent. And that's exactly what we need with Jared Stidham.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So next we have, basketball's doing pretty well so far this season. Head coach Bruce Pearl won his 500th game last week as well. How big is this for Coach Pearl, and how big of a difference is he to the basketball program, which now has a winning record?
I think it took time. And as you see, time is now benefiting Auburn because Bruce came in first 2 years, we were excited, but it was kind of flatlining. But now we have the 4 freshmen, our recruits, and they were being touted, and Bruce is like, this is gonna be the focal point, and those 4 freshmen starting for us, we are the youngest team in the nation,
right?
Youngest, which means there's 2 things that means. A, that means that they're going to struggle. They're freshmen. Austin Wiley is 17 years old, for goodness sakes.
I know. Look how he did in that last game.
Look at him progressing through. Because people said in his first game that he did okay, and then he kind of took a slump. But now he's kind of riding this high now. And I just kept telling people, look, he's 17. He just left high school early to come here to Auburn. It's going to take him time. I know he's like a 5-star recruit. I know he's highly touted, but it's going to take time for him to get in the groove. And now I expect him to start getting there. I expect Austin Wiley, Mustafa Heron, Danjel Purifoy, whenever he gets back to starting rotation, if he does, I expect them all, Jared Harper, to start producing better. They're going to get better. They need time under their belt. They need that experience. And Bruce is going to bring that. This season's been very good to Auburn. Not only, granted, look, UConn, Oklahoma, 2 really good teams last year. They're not doing so great this year. So we were able to get wins on them. But still, having the kind of atmosphere that Auburn has is going to drive more recruits here. We got a big game against South Carolina on Tuesday. Getting a win on the road against South Carolina will do dividends for Auburn's program. We're waiting for that one big win. Kentucky was it last year. Kentucky was big. But at this point now, Auburn's actually fighting to be in the tournament. I know we still got to get a couple of wins, but even the NIT tournament, and I know people don't really care about the NIT tournament, but
that's something.
We haven't been there in a little bit now. I would like to go to the NIT tournament. We could be a first 4 team. I would like to be there as well. So I really do think that if Auburn can, they're still going to work on things. They're freshmen. They're a young team. They're still going to work on things. Work on the passing, work on the assists, work on the defense, work on the rebounding. But the more they keep working on it, the more experience those guys get, the better Auburn will be. And I'm telling you, time will work out in the end. Bruce Pearl, he's bringing this program up. He's bringing it up. I'm telling you right now.
I couldn't agree more, especially seeing Austin Wiley playing in that game against Alabama. Bruce Pearl's just amazing with player development so far. This is a promising team. So Instagram has a new member. A few weeks ago, Tom Brady joined the social media site. So far, he's been pretty active. 11 posts, almost 1 million followers. Is this good for Tom Brady and his fans?
I don't see how it would be bad for Tom Brady and his fans. I mean, look, celebrities, we follow them all the time. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, Tom Brady, he's outside of, the NFL, I mean, he seems like a pretty relaxed person. When football season ends, he does his own thing. Is it good for Tom Brady to post what's going on in his life? I mean, people love Tom Brady. Tom Brady's technically a brand. I mean, if you sold something and had Tom Brady's plastered right on the front of it, people are buying it. It doesn't matter what it was. So Tom Brady's a brand. He's doing his thing. So yeah, I don't see a problem with Tom Brady having an Instagram page at all.
I don't either. I mean, I think it's going to be really great for his fans to be able to keep up with him. He posts really funny videos. Like, I'll never forget, like, there was a post on Facebook recently where he had like a 10-yard run and he made himself a cheetah in the play. Like, I think it's hilarious. I think it'll be cool for his fans to be able to see his personality.
Playing around with it, I can see that.
Yeah. He's also heading to the Super Bowl. Any predictions for him and the Patriots? So
predictions in the Super Bowl. So I'm giving Super Bowl picks right now?
Yes.
Oh, it's 2 weeks out? Oh, man. It's going to be a close game. I know the over-under is 60. I know the line is 3 in favor of the Patriots. And right now, I know it's a close game. Atlanta, they did impress me a lot in their win against Green Bay because not only would their offense stay super hot, their defense came up big. And I value defense a lot. I'm the kind of guy that embodies that defense wins championships. Because in the world of sports, in the world of football, if your opponent scores 0 points, guess what? You never lost.
Right.
There's never been a team who held their opponent to 0 points and they lost a football game. So I think that defense can make or break for you. And the Falcons showed that. They took on arguably the hottest quarterback going in, Aaron Rodgers, and just completely stopped him, silenced him. The Packers were a non-issue in the Georgia Dome the other day. So I think that in itself opened my eyes. Okay, the Falcons, they actually have something. Will it translate 2 weeks into Houston? Only time will tell. That's not to say the Patriots don't have a chance. Because I put the Falcons up on a very big pedestal right there. Not saying the Patriots don't got a chance because it's Tom Brady. You don't count against Tom Brady. You got their defense, which did hold the Steelers to 17 points. My only concern about that is because the Steelers went into Kansas City the other week. They only scored 18 points. Kansas City was able to keep Pittsburgh out of the end zone.
Right. So what does that say about their offense?
So their offense wasn't firing at all cylinders. So it wasn't as much a surprise that the Patriots stopped the Steelers as it was the Falcons stopped the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, the Cowboys, they had a defense. And Green Bay was able to tear through that. So I'm thinking, okay, look, let's be honest. Dallas has a better defense than Atlanta. Or I thought they did until Atlanta showed up and just completely wiped out Green Bay. So I'm thinking it's going to come down to who's going to have the turnovers. And I think Atlanta can force a lot of turnovers. I think they can keep Tom Brady in check for a little bit. It's going to be a shootout. But if you want me to give a prediction right now, I'm going to go 35-31. Lombardi Trophy is coming to Atlanta.
See, I am about to go on the same score prediction, but I think Atlanta is going to be able to score probably about 40 points. And I only say that because the Patriots' defense job got so much easier last night after Le'Veon Bell exited the game so early. Excuse me. And you know what? The Atlanta Falcons, being a Falcons fan myself, I definitely had some doubts about us this season. Starting off hot, I thought it was going to be a repeat of last year when we went 8-8 after winning 5 straight games. After scoring that many points against the Seattle Seahawks defense in the playoffs. Sorry.
I know the Falcons won, but don't get choked up over it, though.
No, I'm not. But basically, scoring that many points against a really good Seattle Seahawks team, stopping the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, having the toughest season going into the season this year, having the toughest schedule, that showed a lot of grit in us. I think the Patriots are a great team, don't get me wrong, but I think the Falcons are going to be able to come out and I think the score is going to be about 40-28.
40-28. That's
Yes.
double digits.
Yes. I have a lot of faith in the Falcons just because their offense is hot right now. The defense is finally stepping up, and it's a really young team, and I have a lot of faith in them. But if the Patriots win, I won't be shocked.
Nobody would be.
Exactly. Well, someone who we are all too familiar with on social media, Johnny Manziel, took to Twitter last week thanking everyone for their support and basically admitted he shouldn't have acted the way he did in 2016 and said that he's changed. An independent football league known as the Spring League wants to include Manziel, Ray Rice, and Vince Young as some of its players. Do you think this could be the start of Manziel's return to the NFL, or is his career completely over with?
Well, he went through a lot. I mean, alcoholism, not only that, but the domestic violence case, him being in the same club as his ex and violating that restraining order. It's going to be a long road back, but I'm a guy who believes in second chances. If he can truly turn himself around and benefit himself for the greater good and give back to his community, I don't see why not they can't give him a second chance. But it's one thing to say on Twitter, just, typing out, hey guys, I'm good to go. It's another thing to actually do it. It's almost like that talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk. So Manziel, I mean, I hope he can turn his life around. I always hope that somebody can better themselves. But first thing first, you actually have to do it. So it's kind of going to be a testing period until leading up to that spring league is he going to stay out of trouble? Are we going to see a post of him at the bar partying with alcohol everywhere? It's going to be one of those things.
Right.
I mean, but I always wish somebody the best. So.
I mean, I believe in second chances as well, but I mean, what is the spring league? I mean, what does it say about their character and what they believe in if they're also willing to let Ray Rice come back? I mean, two guys that have been in domestic violence cases. Vince Young, older guy, who knows about him, like, if he has anything left in the tank. Same with Ray Rice. But I honestly think Johnny Manziel, I don't think any teams are going to be able to look at him and say, hey, we want you on our team. After going to Cavaliers games the night before the game, domestic violence, alcoholism, he has so many things on his plate, he'd really have to change his life around in order to be offered that. And he'd have to play, like, unbelievably and be like Johnny Football all over again in the spring league for someone to want him back.
I mean, his production is here. His baggage is right here. I mean, he just has to play out of his mind in order for teams to look a different way on that.
And I also think some teams, like, after seeing the way he played, started going back to the whole, he's too short for the NFL, he doesn't have a good enough arm for the NFL, he was just magic in college, that's it. So I think even however he plays in the spring league, that's just going to be a reflection of him his whole career.
Yeah.
By the way, Manziel was spotted at the AFC Championship game wearing a Tom Brady jersey. So many ways that these last two topics can connect. Anyway, that is all we have for you tonight. But don't worry, we will be back next week with an all-new episode of Tiger Tally. That will be Tuesday at 6 p.m. Thank you for joining us. See you back next week.